Hey everybody, welcome back to Callus Crew Challenge number 2, the opening round of 32. This is going to be the last match of the round, both chronologically. This was the final match played in real time, and the last match that I am choosing to cover. There's simply not enough hours in the day to do all of them. I did as much as I could for old gens. This one's Gen 3, not going to miss it. This is going to determine the fate of both teams. It is Gary Oak representing the Fiinus, alongside Pogis and Cole 49, and then McMeghan, the Stepsisterhood, is going to be with Mana and LaRue. So what happened to get here is that Pogis, for Gary's team, defeated LaRue, and then Mana defeated Cole 49, putting a win up for McMeghan's team. And that leads us here to a Gen 3 battle to decide which team goes on and which team is out. Will it be the Fiinus or the Stepsisterhood? We'll soon find out. You guys should be familiar with both these players if you've watched my channel at all. Roro McMeghan, a multi-time Callus Invitational participant among many other accolades, two-time Classic winner, has gone deep a number of times in SPL and other tournaments, just a successful Mons player, universally respected. Gary maybe doesn't have the resume that McMeghan does, but he's very respected within the community, strong player across multiple tiers, and sneaky good at ADV, even if he's not the biggest household name. This should be a very close set, I would imagine. Gary absolutely can keep up with or defeat McMeghan, and I'm looking forward to see how it plays out. Before we begin, please consider joining the Discord server if you've not done so already. Please consider donating to the tour. You can find out how to do that in the Discord server, but it's really easy. You just click a donation link. And please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys watching. Hope you've been enjoying the tournament. Let us conclude round 1. Gary's on the bottom, and Roro McMeghan is on the top. Cheetar and Celebi lead, and Celebi, surprisingly, is going to opt to stay in, but it's probably going to have to switch out or baton pass out pretty quickly. Getting stubborn with sub here, but Gary just clicking crunch. Pretty simple. Substitute again. Celebi doesn't have lefties, which is really weird. And it is a Lychee Berry. Wow, and he's going to go for +1 HP fighting. Kind of surprised that Gary allowed that. I mean, not that he has ever played against that before, because it's a total non-set, but like, I don't know. It was kind of obvious to an experienced ADVer, I think, what Roro was doing there. I think I would have respected it and played around the HP fighting in that case. The rest of this team, though, I don't know what we're looking at for Roro. He's got some weird baton pass, something or other. They nerfed the crap out of baton pass. There we go. The trick is revealed. It is a Marowak squad, but they nerfed the crap out of BP and ADV. Where you can only pass one kind of stat boost now. So Ninja asked if he's passing speed, which, I mean, he's dead now, but that's obviously what he's trying to do. He would not be able to also pass Swords Dance. That would just flat out be disallowed within the rules of the team builder. This looks like it's going to go Gary's way. I mean, baton pass generally, this kind of thing, Ninja pass, whatever, Marowak pass, whatever you want to call it, very reliant on its pieces, very combo-tacular, not so good functioning on its own. And with key pieces like Ninjask and Marowak both dead, I don't know, it's not that exciting. We'll see if he pulls it out. Magneton does trap Skarm here, so pretty quick game. We do just have a 3-3 already. But it's going to be the Meta and the Coon that have to win this. That crit obviously didn't matter. Here comes Coon stepping on a spike. Toxic missing there, a little annoying, and it gets a Calm Mind off. Zapdos is a threat here, but there's actually no sand despite the Cheetar having let off the game, so that actually really matters here. Coon is getting lefties every turn, which is going to add up. And now Zapdos comes in, still poisoned from before. Obviously, Thunderbolt's still a threat. The one Calm Mind going to help to some extent. And Rest and Surf is the trade. That's Surf doing as much as it did because of the Calm Mind boost, of course. Gotta have Sleep Talk. He's got a Sleep Talk Roar, which is a deadly combo. One of the only times you get to roar before the other guy. And an interesting switch to Aerodactyl. Would have died to Meteor Mash there, but I guess took a chance that he was going to click Rock Slide instead, which is what happened, and he's going to survive that. Back to Zapper, and back to Meta. Zapdos not due to wake up anytime soon because of the way mechanics work. When you Sleep Talk, it doesn't count as killing sleep turns. So, he's going to get a faster Roar. Will he Sleep Talk? Again, Roar or T-Bolt would both be good. This time he's going to kill an actual sleep turn rather than use Sleep Talk. And he's going to wake up and go for the Roar. Zapdos should be able to close it here. He's just a couple Thunderbolts away from sweet victory, I believe. Or he's going to click Roar there. He must have calced that Aerodactyl wins here. There's no way that play would be right unless he's positive that Aerodactyl wins. And it does. Meta's not going to be able to survive EQ from its health, and then the Kun was really, really low, so he determined that the Zapdos didn't matter, and he could just win with Earthquakes, easy peasy, and indeed, that's what he will do. This turned out quite a bit closer than I thought maybe it would, based on when I saw the Ninjask and the Marowak go down. I thought this might be kind of a beatdown. As it turns out, it was really, really close at the end, so it's probably a pretty well-built team for McMeghan to miss on its combo, to never really set up the Marowak or get anything going, but still almost win anyway. So pretty cool squad for him. I still really, really question Garay's play at the beginning. I think the HP fighting coming there and what he was doing was fairly obvious, or at least something that he should have reasonably been able to detect and play around. So I don't think he should have stayed in, gotten his Tar killed. I think that was very preventable. But regardless, I don't know. I would have just gone to Zap or Scarm there, and then, yeah, and then you could just protect or Roar or what have you, and Celebi's pretty useless. I don't know. I think that was a big mistake for Garay, and I think this game, because of that, was closer than it probably needed to be. But nevertheless, Garay plays the late game well and gets the W, and he puts his team one win away from going on to the round of 16. Roro going to have to rattle off 2 in a row if he wants the Stepsisterhood to go through to the next round. So here we go. Game 2 with Garay still on the bottom and McMeghan still on the top. This time they have the same lead, Salamence for both of them. And the opposing Intimidate, Roro's, is the one that happens first, which indicates right out the gate, unless it's a speed tie, of course, that he's got the faster Salamence. Immense Moltres going on for Garay, and now he goes to Magneton, which is not usually a mon that you see paired with Moltres, so a little weird. And here comes Bliss. So Bliss on Bliss action. They have a couple similar pokes here. Sing is going to put Blissey to sleep, which obviously will be natural cured away whenever she switches out, which ends up being right now. And we are over to Scarm, so they have at least 3 pokes in common. They've both brought Scarm, Bliss, Mence at the very least. But that Sing accuracy has not been a problem at all. Roro has hit all the Sings up to this point. Ends up switching T-Tar in and finds Magneton. Full team revealed for Garay. Last poke meta. Crunch coming down. A little better than a third. And yet another poke in common. They have both brought Mence as well. An attack raise for Garay. But the faster one belongs to Roro. See if that deters him. Neither one comfortable with the matchup. It ends up Scarm on Molt, which obviously Molt has the advantage, but nothing preventing Blissey from coming in here and walling it. And yeah, especially with no spikes down, there's just no reason not to make that switch. Garay's going to have to establish spikes at some point in order to get value out of that Moltres. Otherwise, it'll be walled all day by the Bliss. S-Toss and Wish coming. Can keep it for herself or pass that elsewhere. And she's going to try to pass it to Magneton. Sure, S-Toss does a ton because Magneton's HP is garbage, but the Wish is going to negate the damage. More switching, but no meaningful progress here. Probably just a soft-boiled turn for Garay, and Roro can do as he pleases with that. And he's going to opt to go to Metagross. Makes sense to me. Question is, does Scarm come in now? Meteor Mash is a ton. And there's no cheese there like counter or something. Can't live another. So going to try to pass to his own Metagross. And will be successful. Rock Slide doesn't do a lot. Wish is going to get him back up to full health. Scarm comes in for Roro now. That's going to blank in EQ. We know there's a Magneton on the other side. And McMeghan accepts that. He just gets spikes down, and that's that. Skarm gets eaten alive. So 1 layer in exchange for the life of the Skarm. First knockout 6-5 game with Garay having the lead. McMeghan missing Fire Blast does not help his case. Toxic landing on Men's definitely not something he wanted. Bad turn for Roro, good turn for Garay, and now, of course, Magneton gonna go for Protect, wasting the precious 8 PP of the Fire Blast and getting additional toxic damage. Thunderbolt's going to come down. Again, Blissey can just switch into these special attackers all day, all night, until Garay manages to establish his own spikes, keeping in mind, of course, that his Skarm was put to sleep by the beautiful song of Blissey earlier in the battle. Garay now going to be forced to soft-boiled on his turn, and Roro may again take the opportunity to go to meta. And that's exactly what happens. He can switch to Skarm here, but it is asleep. That's what he's going to go for. An Earthquake blanks. In theory, meta shouldn't be too much of a threat. Skarm should be able to stay in here. And does. Wakes up and protects. I would have probably gone for spikes, but this worked out just as well. Mash and spikes. Now, without attack raises, it's not a big deal. It's just 22%. And then he gets lefties, and then he can protect and get more lefties if he wants. Skarm is totally safe here. If this matchup continues 1v1, Skarm will probably get all 3 layers down. Only after attack raises or just a bazillion flinches in a row does it even begin to matter. But yeah, Skarm totally healthy right now. In the green, upward trajectory, 23% rock slide. There you go. All 3 spikes, and Skarm is still pretty healthy. Gonna protect to get even more healthy. Almost back into the green again. Over prediction Earthquake for Roro and Whirlwind away. Bringing out the Bliss, which now, I mean, still walls the Moltres, but at least there's something of a clock with the spikes down. It could definitely be last poke Claydol for Roro. It often is on this kind of configuration, and there it is. And there's not a lot of punishment on the other side. You could Ice Beam it and get a crit or a freeze. Otherwise, Rapid Spin is happening with no punishment. And Garay doesn't even attempt it. He just clicks Soft Boiled, so all that effort negated. All those spikes are gone. Protect coming down. And there is yet another mash. An attack raise would be the best thing he could do here. 20% is whatever. And there's no raise as he reestablishes spikes. But knowing that there is a Claydol and knowing that there is no Ghost, it's going to be difficult to keep those spikes down at any point in this match. He doesn't even really have something. What some teams do when they don't have a Ghost is they have a poke that they can switch in as a universal threat to spinners. For example, a Zapdos. So whether the spinner is a Starmie or a Claydol, in either case, the Zapdos is something that threatens it. So it makes you make a choice. Yeah, you can spin. If you do, I'm going to hit you pretty hard. I'm going to do something you don't like. But Garay's team doesn't really seem to have that. What could switch in at the same time as the Claydol that really threatens it? I guess like kind of sort of the Moltres. This works. One way to do it is just to get a freeze with Ice Beam. Certainly if the Claydol never thaws, that could be an issue for Roro. Garay should definitely prioritize reestablishing the spikes now. A lot of switching from McMeghan. Gets meta into Bliss. Not sure if that was intended or if he was trying to get it in on something else, but this matchup will work. Goes for the mash. Going to be wide and right, unfortunately. And at least a layer should be reestablished here. There's layer number 1 as T-Tar reappears. We know it as lefties. And now we know it as Fire Blast. Whirlwind away into the poisoned Ments from before. Mind games begin. Do you protect on an attack? Do you spike on a switch? Ends up being protect on an attack. And more Fire Blast PP wasted. More toxic damage on the Ments. Well, there's a prediction. Moltres comes in trying to come in on Fire Blast. Instead comes in on Rock Slide. And obviously with that 4x weakness, Moltres is no more. So that leaves us in a 5-5 situation now. Brick Break and Wish. Obviously not going to survive another Brick Break. Going to try to pass that Wish. And McMeghan not able to predict the Skarm switch in and click Fire Blast. Would have killed him had he done so. Instead, Brick Break just 21%. Wish is going to get the Skarm very healthy, and Ment's going to succumb to the poison. Fire Blast swings and misses on Ment's, not that it would have done a lot, and Garay firmly in the lead at this point. Up a poke, and the Frozen Low Doll, and there's a layer of spikes that it doesn't look like Roro is going to be able to remove. Hidden Power flying there from a physical Ment's, but Earthquake's still a looming threat. He pulls it back and gets pursued on the way out. Magneton, the quintessential Tyranitar counter, coming in. And T-Bolt and Fire Blast will be exchanged. Magneton is no more. Tie game, air quotes on paper. But T-Tar and Claydol both very low for Roro. Doesn't look promising. There is a Brick Break. Are we CB Ment's here, I believe? Oh, yeah. So we're locked on Brick Break. Out of the way we go. And there's Rock Slide taking out Bliss. So again, an air quotes tie. But this is harder and harder to switch into now. It's obviously going to be Earthquake. T-Tar down. I guess Blissy's going to be the answer. Meta's not going to switch into CB Earthquake. And that's going to do a lot because it's choice banded. And Roro just going to click soft boiled. What are you going to do? Trying to sand stall him out. And Garay's going to pull it back. Skarm comes in. Full health Bliss on the other side. More spikes established. There's 2 layers. Might get a third. Gonna protect because there's really no reason not to in this position. Ment still has an attack in the tank. He's at 6%, so he'll get to attack one more time. And then he will, of course, succumb to the sand after. Here's the switch. And we've got meta on meta, and I recall from before that it is McMeghan with the faster Metagross. EQ, EQ. Damage roll situation here. Last EQ did 50, and he's at 50. But there you go. Protect should keep him safe and make it so he'll live the next one, whereas Roro obviously will not live the next one. Wow. Damage roll trollage. The last one did 50%. This one did 56%. It must have been a very low roll near minimum the first time, and then a very high roll near maximum the second time. I'm surprised that McMeghan won this. It looked like Garay had it. I think what happens a lot of the time there, like almost all the time there, is Garay survives that, even at just like 1% or whatever. If McMeghan doesn't get a crit or a max roll, he KOs back with EQ. And then his meta simply outspeeds the Blissey, clicks Explosion, and we're done. And it's a 2-0 victory for Garay. He's got the Skarm and Roro's got nothing. So I think that was actually a robbery at the end. Like I said, the damage roll, that one Earthquake on turn 75 did 50% from McMeghan. And then Garay protected to get up to 56. And then the follow-up Earthquake did the 56. So like I said, it's got to be near a min and then a max roll. I agree with how Garay played it. He must have felt safe there, and I would too. I mean, he may or may not have calced it, but like, even if he did calc it there, you don't go for a 50-50 protect. 50-50 is worse odds than if you just let the damage roll play out. Roro would have needed a max or near max roll or a critical hit, and if he doesn't get one of those things, you just win the game. You EQ back, you kill the meta, and then you boom on Bliss. So McMeghan with a robbery here. This very easily could have been, and a lot of the time would have been, a 2-0 victory for Garay, and we would be moving on. But instead of Roro's team being eliminated here, it is actually going to be a Game 3 to determine which team is out. So here we go. Third and final between these two. Roro going to be counting his blessings to still be in after that previous game. I really thought Garay had that. But here we go. Third game, the Fiinus and the Stepsisterhood. Only one team can advance. Garay's on the bottom for the third and final time. And Roro is on the top. Zapdos is going to scare away a Swampert. And now T-Tar is probably going to scare away a Zapdos. Going to tighten his focus. And he's going to find Swampert. I don't know that I like Focus Punch there because a lot of the time Zapdos is going to baton pass out rather than switch out. And if you baton pass out and you know Focus Punch is coming, you're obviously going to bring in something that resists it or is immune to it. So I don't personally like that play from Gary. I would have clicked something else, but he didn't get punished for it in this instance. He's going to BP out after getting a Calm Mind boost, so his Zapdos is going to be boosted here. HP Ice would do a ton, but even just Thunderbolt would do a lot. And he's going to do 57% with that neutral Thunderbolt before being roared away. Looking like some kind of special or mixed offense for Gary. Going to take the opportunity to rest, and of course there is the threat of Rock Slide here. But he's again going to Focus Punch. And it's going to connect with Pert, doing 42%, leaving Pert at 44 after lefties. Celebi and Fori, so very different choices here. Clearly an offensive team for Gary, and by nature, being a Fori team, we're looking at a stall team for Roro. Hidden Power Fire there does a ton with the 4x weakness. Fori does manage to establish a layer of spikes, but obviously he's got to get out of there. It's CM on the switch, and he's going to respect the HP bug possibility out of the way he goes, but that is going to be a lucky critical hit for Roro, and that is not HP bug. It would have done less even with a crit, so we're looking at HP flying from Arrow, which is just as, if not more common than bug. And it's going to be an over-prediction HP grass now for Gary. Thunderbolt coming down, 37%, not bad. Sleep Talk finds Thunderbolt for the kill, however. Roro gets what he needs when he needs it, and has taken the lead in this game, not only up a Mon, but also with a spike down. T-Tardis going to Focus Punch yet again, and he's going to be roared away. Imagine if he had just clicked Rock Slide there. Instead, it is going to be Charizard. Fire Blast and Wake. Thunderbolt and dead. Gary falling pretty behind in this game. Up 2 Mons and a spike is McMeghan. Gary catches up a little bit, outspeeding and killing the Zapdos here, but McMeghan clearly still ahead right now. Gonna sub up on Fori in case it booms or spikes, but it does neither. Goes for the EQ. There's not going to be any free substitutes this day. Would have been a great play for Roro to click boom right there. Would have been an awesome prediction. Instead, he EQs into Celebi. And he's going to go for the Giga, probably predicting the Arrow. So good prediction there for Gary. Nevertheless, Arrow is a threat to Celebi, but he's going to over-predict and go for Earthquake, enabling the Giga Drain there. Good ballsy stay in for Gary. Registeel making an appearance for McMeghan. Don't see that guy all the time. We know that there's HP Fire here, and that does a ton with a crit. 61%. S-Toss, the best thing he could do back. Now it is a mind game. Do you HP Fire into Registeel, or do you play around the possibility of Aerodactyl coming in? He does correctly Hidden Power Fire this turn, but it's the same mind game here. And he attacks what's in front of him yet again, and that turns out to be right. So Registeel bites it, but now Aerodactyl on any move threatens to kill the Celebi. And in this case, Earthquake, despite the resistance, will be good enough. And Earthquake does seem like a straightforward play there. Every move left, every Mon left for Gary is grounded, 2 of which are Earthquake weak. So that seems like a straightforward click. Here comes Rachi, blanking the Toxic for McMeghan. See if that can get anything going. It's probably very fast, as is often the case on these kind of offenses. Going to go for Thunderbolt from behind the safety of its sub. And Fortress, of course, is just going to click Earthquake. We'll always live a non-crit Thunderbolt here. And it is a non-crit Thunderbolt. But Rachi takes the Earthquake relatively well, just 34%. Thunderbolt again means death. 3-3, still don't know the last poke for Roro. But he's going to go for the straightforward Earthquake yet again. And Gary has no choice but to go to Suicune here. Which is a very dangerous Mon, all things considered. It beats Arrow, it beats Swampert. What's the last? It could beat T-Tar, but if it's D-Tar, he's going to need a crit. Thunderbolt. Roro gets the damage roll again. If that just does just 1% less, then Kuhn survives and probably gets the job done here. But now, Gary's going to need a critical hit. Protect changes nothing. Crit's still going to be necessary for Garay. 26%. Torrent range surf doesn't kill. One more chance. Garay is going to need a critical hit. It's as simple as that. He gets a crit and he wins. He doesn't get a crit. Roro wins. Gonna go for the flinch. And does not find it. And it's going to be McMeghan taking this one down. Barely. Gonna hang on with the red Swampert at the end to take the 2-1 series victory. And I certainly take nothing away from McMeghan. We all know what his accomplishments are in ADV. And he was probably, at least on paper, the favorite in this series. I don't know, though. Just watching it, just simply with the eye test, it felt like Garay easily could have won this series 2-0. If not, won all three of these games, to be perfectly honest. They were all very close. This ended 1-0 with Amon in the red. This ended 2-0, but like we all saw what happened with the damage roll at the end. That easily could have been a 1-0 for Garay, which is what would have happened most of the time. And then this ended 1-0 with Amon in the red as well. Very, very close as it played out, but it felt like Roro caught some key pieces of RNG. I'm not saying he hacked his brains out and got 10 freezes and 10 crits and just completely lucked him or whatever, but when it's two really good players like this and it's very close, the little small things, little damage rolls or whatever, end up being really, really important. And it felt like Roro caught the RNG when he needed it. It felt like Garay could have won this set 2-0, 2-1, or 3-0 in a lot of situations. So I kind of feel a little bad for Garay. He had a very tough matchup here and probably wins this set the majority of the time as played. But that is not the way that it played out. Unfortunately for Garay, his team, the Fiinus, along with Pogis and Cole49, are going to be eliminated. It is going to be the Stepsisterhood, Roro, LaRue, and Ban Manaphy, who just goes by Mana these days, going on to the next round. And with that, as far as YouTube is concerned, round 1 is complete. Like I said, I didn't bring every single match because there's just so many with 32 teams in the first round. But every single replay of every single match is in the Discord server, which, again, I highly encourage you guys to join. Again, please consider donating if you've been enjoying the tour so far. I don't need $300 from you. Throw me $5. It isn't my money. It goes to the players, and it really helps support the tour. And as usual, like and subscribe if you want to, but not a big deal if not. I appreciate it. Thank you for watching. And I will see you guys in round 2, the round of 16, coming up soon.